Hi guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Kyra and today I'm bringing to you a brand new tag from here on YouTube, and it was created by Jen Phelps, formerly Beaudiction if you followed her previously, and it is called the Drugstore Makeup Tag. I don't know quite what's going on with me. I've been doing like a tag a week lately, but there have been so many good tags that I really wanted to film, so here is another one. And I really did want to do this tag just because it's about drugstore makeup, and I'm kind of working on refreshing my drugstore makeup collection within my collection, so to speak. So let's get started. The first prompt is if I could only use one drugstore / affordable brand. These questions are all drugstore / affordable, so not just the things that you can find at an actual drugstore like L'Oreal, Maybelline, so on, but affordable brands that fall in that same category, whether it's the drugstore section at Ulta or so on. So if I could only use one affordable brand forever, it would probably be ColourPop, just because I like products from the entire range that they have. I like their Super Shock shadows, I like their palettes, I like their cheek products, I like some of their lippies. I definitely could get down with some of their base products, and so overall I think that'd probably be the brand that I would go with. There's lots of other brands that I like that are affordable, but nothing that I can really think of where I like the entire range of products enough for a full face. Next is the most underrated brand at the drugstore. And for me, it's Pixi. Pixi by Petra. I love Pixi makeup. I love a lot of their skincare as well. But I think those people who are not here in the land of BeauTube may not even be aware about the brand. They may have seen it, but based on the pricing, they may have been swayed to stick with Maybelline or e.l.f. or something else. And so it's one of those things where when I go to Target and I'm looking around in the makeup section, there's never anybody looking at the Pixi makeup. All the other brands, but not Pixi. So I think it's highly underrated. I do hear it spoken about here on YouTube, but again, not as much as other brands. So that leads me to believe that Pixi is very underrated. Most overrated drugstore or affordable brand, for me, that is Makeup Revolution. I'm not saying that all of their products are bad, but I do think they're even worse than ColourPop in terms of the massive releases, vast amount of options. Sister brands is another thing. It seems like every time we turn around, either ColourPop or Makeup Revolution is putting out like an offshoot sister brand of their overall brand. And if I'm being honest, I just have not tried that much from Makeup Revolution that I actually liked. Most of their products just fall in the fine category. I've tried quite a lot from the brand, and to be honest, most of it has been decluttered over the years. I still have a few eyeshadow palettes left, as well as their Hydrate and Conceal. Is that right? Conceal and Hydrate, that's what it is. In my collection, the palettes mostly because my kids gave them to me and I really haven't gotten a chance to use them much yet. But while I can get some really beautiful looks out of their eyeshadows, they just don't last very long on me no matter what kind of primer I'm using. They're either muddy or completely faded by the end of the day, and to me it's like, why bother? Next is favorite drugstore or affordable product under $5, and this was a no-brainer because I have been loving on this so hard lately. I have it on my lips today, and it is the Rimmel Stay Glossy in the shade Blushing Belgraves. This is such a beautiful, like, smooth and hydrating formula. And I don't know why more people aren't talking about it, because it feels like lip care versus lip gloss. I particularly like this shade for brightening up the center of the lip or just adding a little bit of a gloss to a nude lip. I believe these currently retail for about $3.99, and if you saw my lip collection video tag kind of thing that was created by Jessica Braun, this was my least expensive lip product in my collection at the time. Next is Hidden Gem from the drugstore that no one talks about. I don't really love absolutes like never, always, things like that, and obviously nobody is talking about this product, but I'm surprised a lot more people aren't talking about this product. And I think it's because it comes from a brand that just isn't overly hyped up here on YouTube, and that is the No. 7 Lift and Luminate Serum Concealer. I love this. The shade range sucks, like majorly sucks. If you have medium skin or darker, you might not be able to find a shade that works for you in this concealer, and maybe that's why nobody's talking about it, is because the shade range sucks. It's not inclusive whatsoever. The brand is not very inclusive overall, but I love this concealer. It's lightweight, it's hydrating, it covers just enough that it still looks natural. It's just beautiful. I don't even know what to say about it. Way to be prepared. I have this shade Light, and maybe you'll be able to see on the back of my hand, it doesn't cover everything. It's not going to cover all your sins, but maybe just the worst ones. It's nourishing under the eyes. This is definitely the one I reach for on no makeup days, and I don't know, I think it's a really good concealer. The next one was a little difficult for me, which I'll expound on in a minute, but it's your favorite drugstore / affordable foundation. I love the Misha BB cream. You guys know I love the Misha BB cream. It is affordable. I've gotten it for as little as $10 on Amazon. When looking at my foundation collection, it's either products that are discontinued, products where I no longer support the brand and therefore don't want to make the recommendation to you, and things like that, which is part of why I'm working on testing and reviewing a couple of new drugstore foundations. Not new to the drugstore, new to me. But currently my favorite foundation that I own, that I have tested and reviewed, and is my favorite, is the Wet n Wild PhotoFocus Dewy foundation. One might think, Kyra, you have an oily skin. How do you wear a dewy foundation? Well, this is how it goes. I wear it at a very, very sheer capacity. I put some on my fingers actually, and then I apply it to my face with my fingers, and then I go over with a damp sponge and just kind of blend things out. And in that capacity, plus being powdered and everything, it does really well on my skin. And so I love that because this is very inexpensive. I don't exactly love Wet n Wild's business practices or cruelty-free status or anything like this, but this is the best I have to offer right now in terms of a favorite drugstore foundation. The next one, thank goodness, was a little bit easier and less complicated, and that is, what products do you tend to buy more at the drugstore versus high-end? For me, there's quite a few categories. First of all, anything that I'm going to use up on a really regular basis. So like eyeliners, brow products, mascaras, powders, like pressed powders I tend to purchase at the drugstore. And then also lippies. I love having options for lippies, and not that I won't pay more for lip products, but because I like to have color variety and formula variety and just try new things all together, I tend to buy a lot of lippies, whether that be lipsticks, lip gloss, the whole thing, from the drugstore. What drugstore brand do you feel is overpriced? This one was really easy for me because it kind of transitioned, if you will, into being overpriced during the time that I have been on YouTube and watching beauty YouTube, and that is NYX. I don't know where NYX put on its like hoity-toity, high and mighty, stuck-up vibes, but it's been in the last 2 years roughly that NYX has really started hiking up their prices. When I can buy a ColourPop eyeshadow palette for significantly less than a NYX eyeshadow palette, when the ColourPop formula is oh so better, I think that's a problem. Their Angel Veil primer, which I've always wanted to try, is creeping up on $16 now, which is I think why I've never purchased it, because I've paid $16 during Ulta 21 Days of Beauty for a Becca primer. I don't know what NYX is thinking. Their lip products are going up. The only product that I buy regularly from NYX is the micro brow pencil, and even that's creeping up around $10. And I don't know, it just, if I felt like it was of superior quality at the drugstore compared to other drugstore brands, I probably wouldn't blink or sneeze at the prices. But because I don't think the products are of superior quality at the drugstore, I think they're just way too high priced for me, and I don't buy a lot from the brand anymore. I love this next question, and I hope a lot of people do this tag because I cannot wait to hear all the answers on this one. And that is your favorite drugstore versus high-end dupe. The one that I've been wearing an absolute ton lately is the Flower Beauty Petal Pout lipstick versus the Charlotte Tilbury Matte Revolution lipstick Pillow Talk Spiced Petal. But here is the Flower Beauty Petal Pout lipstick in the shade Spiced Petal, and then here is Pillow Talk in the Matte Revolution line from Charlotte Tilbury. They're very, very similar. The swatches really don't do the dupe justice. I am wearing the Flower Beauty one today, and I've been wearing it constantly since I got it. I have just this little sample of the Charlotte Tilbury Pillow Talk, and I actually had intended on buying the full size of it once I used up a second sample of it, but I don't feel like I need to now because I think that the Flower Beauty one puts off the exact same look on the lips, and quite frankly it's a little bit more comfortable and way cheaper. It's like $7.99 at Ulta versus $34 for the full-size Charlotte Tilbury. Next is the best drugstore or affordable eyeshadow formula, and by leaps and bounds for me it is ColourPop. I own 6 ColourPop eyeshadow palettes. I have Dream Street from ColourPop and Kathleen Lights. This is discontinued, but that is an absolute gem from ColourPop. I also have the Double Entendre, which is a beautiful, warm, neutral color story. I have You Are a Cutie, which was their Valentine's Day release, and this is the first one that I purchased that has the Super Shock eyeshadow formula in the palette. Then I purchased both for myself and for my bestie the Going Coconuts palette at Christmas time, and I love this. The shimmers in here are astounding. And then two you haven't seen on my channel yet are the new tie-dye palettes from ColourPop. This is the one called Aura and Out. Let me know if you guys want to see anything with this. Last I looked, they were all sold out on ColourPop, so I don't know if it's even relevant to want to do any look videos. And then this is the other one I purchased, which is called In a Trance, and it's really pretty. I'm excited to use both of those. But to me, ColourPop's eyeshadow formula is just as good as high-end, if not better than a lot of high-end shadows. They're blendable, they're user-friendly, they last all day on my eyes, and I just think they're beautiful. And because they do have so many releases, while some of us find that to be really negative experience, it also gives a lot of options to people out there who are looking for just one palette with a specific color story that fits their needs. Next is worst drugstore eyeshadow formula, and for me this brand, excluding their single eyeshadows, is L'Oreal. L'Oreal just has not gotten with the times when it comes to eyeshadows, formulas, color stories, none of it. I just find it really interesting because I feel like L'Oreal keeps up with the times and the trends in terms of the rest of their products in the line, but eyeshadow not so much. L'Oreal, we need some new eyeshadows from you. Next is drugstore brand you used to love but aren't crazy about anymore, and this is the same answer from a different question, and that is NYX. I really thought NYX was like the high-end makeup of the drugstore when I first started watching YouTube, or BewTube as I like to call it, and then created my own channel. I really liked a lot of the products from their line, but based on their prices and the fact that I think other brands are surpassing them on quality, interest, things like that, I'm just not interested in NYX anymore. Like I said, their eyeshadow palettes aren't super interesting to me. I know from experience that the eyeshadow formulas are very hit and miss from NYX, and that doesn't exactly lead me to want to buy an overpriced palette at $20 that's going to be of questionable quality. Next is a drugstore product that you didn't expect to like, but then totally wowed you. And for me, it's the e.l.f. Oil Control Primer Mist. This was a recommendation from Andrea Matillano here on YouTube. I'll link her down below. She talks about this quite frequently. This is my third bottle of this. I went through one and most of another one last summer, and I repurchased it just recently. I love this. I'm wearing it today, so you can see that it doesn't leave me looking flat or even super matte, but this does help keep my makeup on my face all day, even when it's hot outside and my oils start to come through. It's a spray and it's liquid, and it just disappears. I mean, it just completely absorbs into the skin. It doesn't leave any residue behind. It doesn't leave an extra layer of skincare or primer or makeup, so to speak. And so I really like that about this. I've tried a lot of mattifying primers in the past, but this one I like because it's not an extra layer on my already oily skin for which to break up the rest of my makeup. So I really wasn't expecting a lot from this, but I'm glad that it did wow me, because that started to evolve into this sort of journey in e.l.f. cosmetics that I've been going through in at least the last 6 months, if not the last full year. And just trying a bunch of stuff from e.l.f. because I really wasn't familiar with the brand until I started watching YouTube. So I really like this stuff. Highly recommend if you have oily skin. The last prompt is your current favorite drugstore or affordable eyeshadow palette. Actually, I think it said drugstore. I went with drugstore. It is this one from Pixi. It is the Natural Reflection Shadow Palette in the colorway Natural Beauty. They also have a very warm toned, version of this. And what's so interesting about this palette is that while it looks very, very almost monochromatic in the palette, it's actually quite different. Like this one you might be able to see has some green to it. This one right here has like a little bit of a rose tone to it. So they're actually quite different on the eyes, but also they're of impeccable quality, absolutely stunning, very smooth, very foiled, and just beautiful. The mattes are very, very soft, almost like working with a satin shadow, and therefore beautifully blendable, pigmented, but not too pigmented. And I just love this palette. I've been keeping this out on my vanity here because I've just been enjoying grabbing for this on days where I'm not filming a look or just need to get out the door quickly. And generally I'm looking for neutrals when that is the case. So I actually highly recommend this little guy right here. And you could buy it at Target as well as Ulta, so I'll have it linked below. And that, my beautiful friends, is the end of the drugstore makeup tag. Thank you again to Jen Phelps for creating such a fun tag that focuses on drugstore makeup. I love drugstore makeup recommendations, so I hope lots of people film this. And with all of that said, I hope you are staying safe and well and being kind to others, and I hope all of your makeup days are absolutely beautiful makeup days, and I will see you in my next video soon.